Alright, so in this screen recording, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys how to factor a quadratic equation when the a value is not equal to 1. So I've already done this on Google Docs, and so you're going to see me using the uh, do, the redo, and the undo button a lot. So the very first thing that we want to do is set up our equation. So my equation that we're going to go ahead and we're going to write down is going to be 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. So the very first thing you want to do whenever you have an equation, a quadratic equation that you want to factor where your a value is not 1. So you can see that my a value here is 2. The very first thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself, what multiplies to negative 6x squared, yet also adds to produce a positive 5x? So when I got the negative 6x squared by multiplying the 2x squared and the negative 3, a value and your c value. So the answer to that question, 6x and negative 1x. The next step is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rewrite it so that way it flows a little nicely. So here's my equation again, 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. So then we're going to take our two factors and we're going to rewrite the equation one more time. And you can see the equations right there. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my middle term, my linear term, my 5x, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to split that up into the two factors. So my two factors are 6x and negative x. Now I haven't really altered anything. All I've done is just separate the 5x. If I go ahead and I combine my like terms here, see that they produces a 5x. So on the next step, what we want to do then is we're going to go ahead and we're going to group together the first two terms. So you can see I'm going to use set of parentheses to group those together. And then I'm also going to group the second two terms. Notice here how I added plus sign, addition symbol, in between the two factors. Okay, that's very important because I'm not multiplying them, I'm adding them. Okay, so now on the very next step, I'm going to see the equation again. So looking at the first two terms, you want to see what do these two terms have in common. 2x squared and 6x have a 2x in common. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to factor out a 2x from that equation. And if I factor out a 2x, 2x squared divided by 2x just leaves me with an x. And then the same thing for the 6x. 6x divided by 2x gives me a 3. So now you can verify this by distributing back in. 2x times x gives me 2x squared, and then 2x times 3 gives me my 6x. I'm going to do the same thing for the next set. The only difference is when your leading term in the second grouping ends up being negative, you always want to make sure that you factor out a negative. Then ask yourself, what value do they have in common? In this case, the only value that x and 3 have in common is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to factor out a negative 1. Now we're going to do the exact same thing we did on the first set. And okay, negative 1 times x gives me my negative x. And negative 1 times positive 3 gives me my negative 3. So notice here that factoring out a negative 1, all that does is it changes the signs of both of my factors. Okay, we're just about done. The very last step is we're going to go ahead and we're going to rewrite the equation. Before we do that, notice here how I have x plus 3 in this factor, and I have x plus 3 in this factor. This lets me know that I'm doing the equation correctly. Both of these need to be the same. Okay, so to finish off, we're going to go ahead and in this next line, the factor that they both have in common, the x plus 3, becomes one of my final factors. Okay, and then the second factor is going to be the leading terms from both of the factors. So we're going to have 2x. We're going to write that down right there. And we're going to also have the -1, as that's the leading term on the second factor, or the second grouping. Okay? And then that becomes your final answer. Okay, you can verify this by going ahead and either using the FOIL method or a Punnett square, just to go ahead and get back to it. And you'll notice that if you do that, you do end up back again with what you originally started. So this 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 is the original, and this is factored form. This is what you want your final answer to be. Okay, thank you for watching.